hey, we're co-hosting together. Hey, happy Monday. My goodness gracious, what an extraordinary opportunity here. We've got the one and only Jim Mayer in the house. Jim, how are you, man?
I'm fantastic, Kurt. This is so much fun. I'm a huge fan of just the energy that you bring to your conversation. So I'm really looking forward to this today, man.
Well, right back at you, brother. And so the cool thing, I've got a ton of questions. We got a lot to talk about. So first off, please connect with Jim on LinkedIn. Anybody, any remotely in that manufacturing space, you absolutely, he's a manufacturing connector. So we have to stop his LinkedIn profile, connect with Jim first and foremost. We're going to be talking about this incredible Leading the Change tour that you're putting together. Man, this is a powerhouse, incredible event for 2025. But Jim, before we go there, first and foremost, are you sitting down, man? You ready for this one?
I'm ready, buddy. Let's
All
go.
right, let's go. All right, first question for you, Jim. When you were a little guy growing up, when you were a little guy growing up, who was your hero? Who did you look up to? Who did you admire? Who was your hero when you were a little guy growing up?
Alex P. Keaton from Family Ties, man.
Alex P. Keaton. I've asked that question hundreds of times. I've never asked. So anybody under the age of what? I don't know, 40. Who is 40. Alex P. Keaton?
Alex P. Keaton was Michael J. Fox's character on Family Ties. He was the oldest child in this somewhat hippie-ish type family in just middle America, and he idolized Ronald Reagan. And he would wear a suit to school, and I'll never forget. We were living in the mountains of Colorado, and when I was little. I grew up in Steamboat Springs before moving down to Denver to the Front Range. And I asked my mom if I could wear a suit to school. And she's like, yeah, a snowsuit, not like a three-piece suit. Like that just didn't exist in our world, right? But I wanted to carry a briefcase to school. I wanted to be Michael or Alex P. Keaton. That was the person that I looked up to growing up, which is super ironic and hilarious now looking back. Because he's just such an awesome dude, and that fanned the love for those Michael J. Fox movies, Back to the Future, all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, and talk about hero. And he's a wonderful hero today as well.
Absolutely.
What he's challenging, challenged with what he's going through. But what, dude, phenomenal answer. Family Ties, and I think they were in Columbus, Ohio. I think
they sure were. Absolutely, man.
They were in Columbus, Ohio, and so I was living in Columbus when that.
No kidding. That's awesome. That's even better.
True story. So, all right. So, anybody under the age of 40, go back and check it out. Hey, Greg Mischio's here today. He's my age, so he remembers Alex P. Keaton from Family Ties. Greg, you remember that one. So, all right, great answer. And what a wonderful show, man. It was just they had 3 kids, and man, you brought back some good memories there. So, and there was always like a lesson from the dad, right? It was
Absolutely.
always a great lesson from the dad.
Yep.
I don't know if I've ever, I have one daughter. I don't think I've ever been a great job doing the same as he did. But he always had like that, that logic and like, hey, you need to do this, right? Remember those?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I fondly remember Thursday nights growing up because you had Family Ties, you had The Cosby Show, and you had A Different World. And those were like 3 super wholesome, family-friendly TV shows that you could literally get around a TV that may have 3 channels on it and watch it as a family, and everybody took away a different lesson. I loved it, man.
Yeah. So, all right. So once again, anybody under the age of 40, that is correct. You heard Jim. We had 3 channels to choose from, and that's what, and so it was must-see TV. Remember that? That's what they called it.
I am dating myself here. This is great.
I've got you by years, and so I'm right there with you. So, all right, great answer. Alex P. Keaton, like the ultra, he was going to conquer the stock market back in the 80s, right? That whole, awesome. Okay. Great answer. You won my day there. All right, so let's say that you've had an incredible career, man. You've had companies like Fastenal, MSC, NTMA, and so that's really impressive. I want to slide up. Okay, so grew up in Colorado, and Alex P. Keaton, who like the ultimate, that dude was going to go conquer Wall Street. How did you find yourself in like kind of the B2B industrial manufacturing world? How did you bring your skills, your passion into that?
Yeah, so just a little transition. I went from idolizing Alex P. Keaton to loving Fish, the Grateful Dead, Dave Matthews Band, Jack Johnson, all the jam bands,
Jam band.
Widespread Panic, all that kind of fun stuff, right? And when I got to high school, I was a good student, but I didn't apply myself. I was one of those kids, right? I didn't put in the homework. I absorbed the information. I showed up every day. My dad was my high school was a high school teacher at my high school. So
Yeah.
I could not go to class because my dad would find out about it, right? There was no skipping school for me. And so I just my rebellion was I just didn't do the work outside of class. I would go, I would absorb everything. So I would get great grades on tests and on papers, and so they funneled me into shop class, because that's in the 90s. That's what they did. Where they took the burnouts, the losers, those kinds of people, and they funneled us into shop class because they didn't know what else to do with us.
Right.
And shop class was a place where I felt like I was at home. I mean, I would show up there, I could create something, I would be able to walk away at the end of a project and literally feel a sense of pride because I had created something. Leaving high school, I had in my mind that I wanted to go to university. A lot of 18-year-olds don't know what they want to do. So I'm in Arizona now. I came down to Arizona State as an 18-year-old recent high school graduate, and I made it an entire semester at university before I realized that I was spending way too much money to not know what I wanted to do with my life. So I stopped going to school. I moved back to Colorado. I worked retail, restaurant jobs, and construction jobs. I was a carpenter. I built custom log homes for a company up in Northwest Colorado and all over a couple of different states, and moved around, enjoyed myself. My 20s were for me. I always had that pact with myself where I wanted to experience as much as I possibly could. So I would take annual road trips on a Greyhound bus, and just like I've slept in every state except for Alaska at this point, Kurt. So I just experienced life and everything that had to offer. And one day I was building houses in Northwest Colorado and fell off a roof, and I was freezing and didn't. I fell into a snowbank. I did not injure myself, but I was cold, and I'm standing around a propane stove that we use to warm up. And our Fastenal rep came in and said, "Hey, how do you feel about selling these things?" I was like, sounds interesting, but I'm not a salesperson. He goes, I've seen you at a bar. I just need you to, act like you do there. You're not selling a product. These are products that people already are buying. You are selling yourself. You're selling the company. That was some of the best advice I ever got. And so I made that switch. I applied for a job. It was in Long Beach, California, Wilmington, California, to be exact. And I packed up my pickup truck and went out to California and started slinging tools for Fastenal. And that's when I walked into my first machine shop and a place called West Coast Aerospace. And it took me back to those high school shop class moments, the people in there, the smells, the sights, the sounds, right? It was just an amazing place. I felt like I was home. So we started focusing more on manufacturing. We had, companies like Foamex that makes mattress foam and couch foam all the way to machine shops. And I fell in love with that industrial world. Not that I don't love construction. I still love the built environment. I still admire it. I still can go up to Northern Colorado and point out to my family on a very repeated basis, which annoys my wife, I think, at this point, all the places that I've worked on. Right. That's just a sense of that pride. But this industrial manufacturing space was just something magnetic, and it drew me to it. And So I left Fastenal after 4 years, which in those days was a really long time for a Fastenal employee to stick around.
Was that right?
Well, they used to, and Fastenal, if you're listening, please don't judge me on what I'm about to say because this isn't true now. But back then, it was a 24, 24, 24 club. They would hire 24-year-olds, pay them $24,000 a year, and they'd stick around for 24 months.
I've never heard that one.
That has since changed. They've done a great job of compensating and keeping people and doing things culturally doing the things that they need to do. But in the 2000s, that's where they were, or that's how they were known at least. And I went and learned factory automation supplies, worked for Keyence for a year before going back into industrial distribution, working for MSC. Was with MSC for quite a long time, had a lot of different roles there, project management, individual contributor, sales leader. And then went to the NTMA, was really tired of that corporate life, that rat race, being a number of multiple thousands of employees. And I wanted to do something good for the industry. And the NTMA had a spot open up, business development role. And that business development role quickly turned into a director of communications role, working on different projects and programs, leading the events team, the publication, the marketing team, really was able to hone my skills in the world of communications, marketing communications at that point. Left there to go work for Big Kaiser, which is now Big Diashoa. Was there for 2 years, and then started my company. So it's been a wild ride, man. It's been a lot of fun.
All right. So a couple of things I want to unwind right there, which is phenomenal. And then we're going to lead up to the big tour that you have coming up. Yeah. But when just, what's fascinating, I always say this, like, today's Monday. It's just a Monday. But, it takes one conversation or one proposal or one suggestion that completely changes the whole trajectory of your life.
Absolutely.
And when you think back to I just caught you live at the Industrial Marketing Summit. I know Greg was there at the Industrial Marketing Summit, and you had a packed house. As a matter of fact, we're going to show a picture of it. And I'm not saying it because you're here, you completely slayed your workshop. I don't know how many people were in the room. It was packed. As a matter of fact, there was standing room only. We were all standing around in the back. And you just absolutely crushed it. But if that guy from Fastenal doesn't say that to you, who knows where your path goes? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And Kurt, there have been a couple of those moments that I can pinpoint, and my dad's been a big influence on a lot of those moments where as I got older and started listening to my father again, because we all go through that phase.
The Mark Twain. It's amazing how smart my father got when left at 18 and came home at 22, and how smart your father got,
exactly.
over 4 years that you're gone. Yeah,
exactly. But there have been other people. Chris Kaiser has had a massive impact on my career. Dave Tillstone, former Kennametal executive, NTMA president, that took a chance on me. But there have been quite a number of people who have gave me moments of wisdom from their past lives, from their experiences, that have really shaped the trajectory. And yes, the guy from Fastenal, absolutely. But there have been so many. I've been really blessed, Kurt, to have been surrounded by some really smart people, smarter than me. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Well, it's awesome having those mentors, and a lot of it, it's the maturity to what do they say? When the student is ready, the teacher appears, right? And by
absolutely.
the way, what did your dad teach? What subject did he teach?
So he was a sixth grade math and science teacher before I got to high school. And quick funny story: he
Yeah, yeah.
got a job at my high school my freshman year, and I thought I was gaming the system, Kurt, by registering for staff, which was this unknown person. Right? They hadn't identified it. Didn't say Mr. Mayor. It just said staff, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to get the new teacher. They're not going to know it." Anything. This is going to be great, blah, blah, blah. I walk in the first day of class. My dad didn't tell me he had taken this job. I walk into the first day of class and it's my dad in the science room. I'm like, oh. And so he taught freshman earth science. He's master's degree in earth science. I come from a long line of very science-minded individuals, both sides of my family. Dad, if you're listening, which I doubt you are because I don't even know if you have LinkedIn, lots of science on that side. But the first day of class, I raised my hand to ask a question. I said, Dad, Frank, shit, Mr. Mayor. And he kicked me out of class on the very first day of class.
Oh, that's classic, dude. That's absolutely
it's awesome.
Hysterical, man. All right. Hey, we got a couple comments here. So Greg says, yeah, I was in the next room. I could hear the audience roaring with laughter and applause. And I have firsthand testament to that. Harry, man, happy Monday to you, my friend. Happy Monday, Kurt and Jim. And Mark is in the house here. Mark, sending you lots of love, brother. Awesome to see you both today and at the industrial market. So, hey, thank you guys for dropping comments. Appreciate you. And drop, if you're out there, drop a note and let us know you're out there. Any questions for Jim? We're going to be diving into company culture. Man, he is the authority. He's the expert. And please connect with Jim on LinkedIn. Jim, man, dude, I could keep you here all day. Couple quickies. So you go from, hey, I want to work with my hands, that type of thing, to also like, and you really have a natural ability. You make people feel like you've known them your whole life. Like you just gift the gab. You're very charismatic. You're very caring. And again, like the way you work the room, and don't think I'm going to let you get away with, we are going to talk about your presentation. You had how you engaged everybody was like just absolutely brilliant. And I'm going to give you kudos there. What was it like? So here's where I want to go.
Okay.
What was it like sliding from like working with your hands to like, now you need to be the people person, your sales, Fastenal, MSC. I'm like some of the the leading companies of the industry of B2B industrial, distribution. You're in sales. What was that transition like? And then I want to lead up to when you kicked off your entrepreneurial journey. Start with like, what was it like transitioning into your sales career?
Well, I think we're going from physically making something to Fastenal first was the best transition for me, because Fastenal at the time in the early to mid 2000s, the branch employees, I don't know if it's the same way now, but the branch employees were the delivery people. We were the warehouse people. So I was lifting 50-pound boxes of nuts and bolts every day. I was loading them into the back of pickup trucks. I was huffing them into Progress Rail out on Terminal Island, right? And just dripping sweat. I used to have to carry multiple shirts with me every day. Oh, just because I was so wet. I had a bar of deodorant and multiple shirts in my Fastenal truck at all times, man. So that transition of still doing something physical, doing something active, and being able to connect with the customers that I served to feel like I was part of their team in what they were making helped that transition, right? And so I've always looked, whether it was Fastenal, Keyence, MSC, NTMA, Big Kaiser. I've always felt with the companies that I've worked with that I'm part of the team. I may not be the one physically machining or physically welding a part, but those parts don't get made unless I bring them their nuts and bolts, or unless I'm bringing their cutting tools or their factory automation supplies, or their tool presetters with Big Kaiser, or now helping their leaders lead better. None of this happens without the contribution, and that's part of what I try and bring to all of the people I work with is, you don't have to be the one actually making the thing. There are so many other people that are needed in that facility to make that widget, that part, and they're all part of the team. Everybody who has a contribution should be proud of that thing that's made at the end of the day. So that's how and maybe it's, an asinine way to look at it. I don't know if I can cuss on your show. But to me, that's, maybe it was naive, but that's just how I've looked at it. I'm part of the team in any of these organizations. So I may not be the one physically making it. I don't have the skill set to machine or to weld. I can build you a house. I cannot make you a rocket, right? But I'm part of the team because I am contributing.
All right, absolutely love it. So, all right, during your journey, prior to your launching your business, your entrepreneurial journey, when did you also kind of start paying attention to culture, and talk a little bit about when did all of a sudden culture become your passion, your purpose?
Yeah.
Walk us through when maybe some points through your career, and then we're gonna dive before we get to top of the hour. I want to get into that tour of yours that you have coming up.
Yeah. So I left companies, and I'm not going to specify which ones here publicly, right? But I left companies because something wasn't there. There was something missing. There was every job I've ever left was because of culture in some way, shape, or form. In 2010, I decided to go back to school. I went back to school, got my bachelor's degree. I was 30 years old when I started, 34 when I graduated. Awesome. Rolled that immediately into an MBA. And I focused my MBA. It was through Ohio University in Athens.
I saw that. You're a Bobcat.
A Bobcat, baby, which is a wild school, and we could talk for about an hour just about stories from that school.
But I'm sure. Yeah.
Anyway,
biggest, just for people that aren't aware of this, biggest Halloween party in the country is at Ohio University. I was there once, and so
that's all you need. That's all you need.
That's my bucket list. I was like 19 years old. That's the one. I was one and done. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's perfect. So I did. I was part of one of their inaugural cohorts that was a hybrid program, and my focus was on executive leadership and organizational development. And so this was 2014, 2015, 2016. And in that time period, there were a lot of companies that were coming out with online employee engagement platforms, right? So we had all of this litany of platforms. And what the common theme was, though, is these were platforms built and designed for desk employees. These were people who sat behind a desk all day long. Nobody was measuring how our skilled trades employees felt, right? How our skilled workers are the people who make this country what it is. Nobody was measuring our sentiment, the deskless employees. And so I really wanted to design something like that. And that's what I did. I designed it as my project there, my graduation project, capstone, whatever you want to call it. And did a lot of research, read a lot of books, man, beyond even what was just required for the program. And I all of a sudden, why I had left jobs, why people I knew had left jobs was making sense. It was the culture, it was the values, it was a lack of things that were cultural. And I knew that at that time we were hearing a lot, and we've heard it for multi-generations, that nobody wanted to work anymore. People were having a hard time finding employees. And so I wanted to take what I had learned, what I had experienced, and mesh that together. And then with what I had built, in help the industry as much as I possibly could, try and get to a place where we lead better, we have better retention, we are able to create capacity that we had lost when we offshored. We're able to rebuild that middle class that is so vital to our economy here. And they're way smarter people than me, Kurt, when it comes to the technology of manufacturing. My skill set lies on the human side, and so I figured that's my contribution.
Awesome. Well, hey, let's before people, in case anybody has a hard stop at the top of the hour, I don't, and if we lose anybody, I want to dive in here. So I'm jumping into your website. So again, welcome, encourage everybody. Stop by the manufacturerconnector.com. That's the mfgconnector.com. And Jim, I was way in the back. So if you see a shiny bald head, way in the back, man, I'm back there. So here you are at the Industrial Marketing Summit. But talk a little bit. Let's start with a tour. And if anybody's cutting out, we strongly encourage you, go to Jim's website and you're going to learn more. Let's dive into the tour. And then I want to backtrack because I do have more questions there. But talk a little bit about the tour that we have coming up real quick.
Yeah. So we're going to hit 20 cities with 2 different workshops between the April 23rd. So 2 weeks from tomorrow. 2 weeks from Wednesday. Sorry, I forgot what day it is. We're going to be in Cleveland at Ellison Technologies. Thank you, Ellison, for graciously hosting and taking a chance on this guy launching a tour and not really knowing exactly what he's doing, but having a lot of fun trying to get butts in seats. So Ellison Technologies said, yeah, we'll host you. Akuma said, we'll host you as well. So the first 2 stops are one of each of the sessions. We're doing leading change in digital transformation in Cleveland and 15 other cities. So that's a 1-day workshop. We talk about the concept that people really actually like change. The idea that people hate change is typically told to us by people who are trying to force change. But when we invite our employees to help author change, they love it. And so we're going to talk about agile cultural methodologies to really lead change in digital transformation. This workshop's for your operations leaders, your top line leaders, your HR leaders, all those kinds of people. The Becoming Management material, we're doing that in 4 cities. That is a 3-day workshop. That's something special. So one of the things that I've heard over and over again is we have this leadership gap in the industry. And so this is a workshop that's designed to help take those individual contributors and make them into leaders, give them the skill set that they need to lead so that when that person in front of them dies, retires, or quits, you're ready with somebody on your leadership bench to move them into those leadership positions. Those are going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, they're 3 days long. The Wednesday of each of those, we are actually having a in-person recording of the Manufacturing Culture podcast, where we'll not only interview, in Charlotte, Jim King and some of his leadership team, but we'll also interview some people from our audience from the workshop. They'll be able to get up and tell their stories as well. So it'll be a lot of fun. These workshops are priced to be very competitive, but Kurt, you and I were talking right before, and I had an idea, and I can't believe I had this idea before. I'd like to offer anybody who's listening a 20% discount to any of these stops. So if you're in Cleveland, great. But if you're in Hartford or Philadelphia, further on down in the or Phoenix or any of these other places, and you're listening today to this live or on any of the future playbacks, I'll have a discount code. It'll be a fun play on words or something, and you'll have a little discount code. So appreciate you letting me plug that before the top of the hour there.
Absolutely. So, strongly encourage, invite, welcome you to number 1, 20 different cities here. And we're going to cruise down a list. I mean, it's just, and these are all manufacturing powerhouses. let's go back up here. We've got, I saw Buffalo here. We got Nova, that's Michigan,
Yep.
Phoenix. We've got Omaha, Indianapolis, Philly. Again, Becoming Management Material 3-day workshop in San Jose coming up. We're back in Nashville with Leading the Digital Transformation, Minneapolis, Atlanta, Chicago. Man, you've got Heidenhain. I'm very familiar with that company.
Great company.
Phenomenal company there. Back in Management Material in Boston coming up in October. And then San Diego leading the change in digital transformation again. And Denver closing out with Denver. So talk a little bit about, are these now, I caught like a little sliver, like 45 minutes of, in dude, again, you are phenomenal public. And I study people that do public speaking. And so I love your demeanor. I love how you got people engaged. I love your humility. I love your sense of humor. Talk a little bit about, what would people expect at the digital transformation? Let's start there. What are they going to expect?
Yeah. So what they can expect is about 15 to 25 minutes of me talking the way we talked at IMS, right? In each section, in each segment, but then the majority of these workshops are hands-on. So one of the workshops I do, we have a paper airplane flying contest, but it's all about how do you create, how do you identify team roles to create the best paper airplane.
I love it. Brilliant.
And so there's a lot of hands-on. There is a very, I hate to toot my own horn, a very robust participant guide. And I just wrapped up a workshop last week. And one of the things that came up on the evaluation over and over again was, this is now my leadership Bible. So every time people are coming to my workshops, they're adding the different sections from each workshop, and they're creating these leadership resources, these encyclopedias. I told one woman she's got to stop photocopying my workbooks and reproducing them internally, or I'm going to have to start charging her a licensing fee or something, because she's just taking these and making them part of their training, which is great. I joke with her about that. This is why I do this. We can make this amazing. We can make manufacturing a place where we look at the leaders and we're like, this is a no-brainer. So they can expect a lot of that kind of humility, that kind of interaction. I work very hard, Kurt, to make sure that everybody speaks during each session, whether that's your comfort zone or not. I'm not going to force you to, but by the end of every workshop, everybody's spoken. So I just love that.
Well, kudos to you, dude. And what a great testament. And ironically, Chris was our guest on Friday. So she was just on the show Friday. So everyone in the room connected with you and your insights as a leader. You inspired me to take action on a few things. Thanks for the push. So again, we couldn't encourage people enough to stop by Jim's website and if you're not within any of those striking distance of those cities, man, connect with Jim on LinkedIn. Absolutely. So let's go here. All right, I'm going to, is there anything else on the website that we should pull up before I close out the website?
No, I mean, everything else is pretty self-explanatory. Thanks to Emily Wilkins. She helped me get this thing actually user-friendly. So it's nice to see somebody else using it and that it is as user-friendly as I see it being. But she was great in helping me get this up and running to this point. Emily Wilkins from Marketing Metal, if she's on, thank you.
She's a dear friend of the show, and so lots of love to Emily. So Emily, we actually got together. We went to dinner together
awesome.
two summers ago. So we were close enough in proximity, and I'd say very passionate for manufacturers. Yes, she did an amazing job for your website. Manufacturing culture, manufacturing connector. So all sorts of good things. Jim, let's go here. I want to come back. Greg I skipped over a question that Greg asked. I want to come back to that.
Yeah.
Greg Mishu says, question for Jim. How can organizational leaders use content to influence their culture? What a great question coming from the content guru himself.
Yeah, that's a great question, Greg. And we talked about this at the IMS. I know you weren't in this session. You made a different choice, and I'm not going to be upset with you. You can ask your questions here.
Little FOMO, Jim.
That's all I
gotta say is FOMO, man.
Absolutely. So, Greg, we talked in that session about something that I call the industrial brand death cycle, which is super dramatic, but it's a lot of fun, and it's 100% true and research based. When your leaders are invisible, when they're weak, when they're not using their own authentic culture, they aren't steering their employees in the direction that they want to steer their employees in. So organizational leaders can use content to influence their culture by communicating the vision. It doesn't have to be that you have a vision meeting once a month or once a quarter or once a year or twice a year or whatever it is. Your employees, when they follow you on on whatever platform you're posting on, they're going to understand what your vision is for the organization, right? When you see people like Phil Knight is one that you see a lot of, and he's one of my favorite books of all time is Shoe Dog.
Yeah.
When he posts, it's a very authentic post about the vision and direction of their culture and of their organization. So I think that's how they can use that content to influence culture is just be authentic and shape the vision from that point.
Yeah, great answer. So, Greg, thank you for the question. And so, Mark, thank you he dropped the link in the chat. So, again, everybody go to manufacturingconnector.com, check out the tour. Love to have you there. Harry has a great question here for you, Jim. And I think you and Harry should absolutely, Harry posts a lot about company culture. This little song title from Billy Joel. Do you agree an engaged culture has always been a matter of trust?
That's a great question. I'm just reading Greg's response. I'm always distracted when I do these lives. I apologize because I'm like that dog from Up, the squirrel. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. Harry, I think trust. I mean, you go to Patrick Lencioni's, 5 dysfunctions of a team. You go to other leadership gurus, right? You look at the foundation of what they've built their cultural pyramids on, whatever those look like. Trust is always that foundation. To me, I take it a step further just because I don't know. I'm me. To me, it's based on values, and if you have to build your culture on an alignment of values, which comes with an element of trust. But if you have people who work for you that don't believe the same things you do, then you're not going to have a healthy culture to be able to build that foundation of trust. And I hope that makes sense. Did that make sense, Kurt?
It made perfect sense, dude. Yeah.
Okay.
It's very challenging. I was reading a little bit about the gentleman that founded Uber, right? Travis. I can't pronounce his last name. There's actually like a show on Netflix about like how brash and like the culture, and it was very not pleasant, right?
No.
And so I think, I'm old enough to go back to like the Enron days, or like you think of like, so those are like the extreme, like
Yep.
the ultra extreme, for our folks out there, those manufacturers, 5, 10, 15, 20 employees, it's challenging. People have different views, different religion, different politics, different sports teams, like trust can be broken over sports,
Absolutely.
If you're in Chicago, you've got some North Siders and South Siders. It's it can get
Clubs
challenging.
and White Sox, man. That's a big, and I said clubs, I meant Cubs and White Sox.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can be broken very easily. And yeah, that show on Netflix, I think it was Netflix. That was a great show. It scared me from ever working in the software industry, though.
Yeah, right. Very brave. Hey, Greg's going to jump. So Greg says, hey, I got to jump. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Here's his comment. Awesome answer. Thanks, Jim. I will watch the recording of your presentation. He says with tail between his legs. I will and I also read Shoe Dog. Same here. Phenomenal book. And that's the thing is like when you think of, I don't deem myself culture guru, trust guy, but like Warren Buffett, I think has one of the most brilliant, simple philosophies that he always preached. It's the front page. Where I'm going. The front page. You want to share people?
No. This is your thought process, man. I want you to run with this.
So I mean, it's just like I'm a simple guy. Like I need things like dumb it down for me. He just says like if it's something that you don't want to be on the front page of the paper for. And I'm going to tell you, I'll be married 27 years next month. Like I'm trying to apply this like to my marriage as a father, as a person, like even like if I'm having a bad day, like, if I'm a little defensive or like, do I want to be on the front page being defensive with my spouse in the car? Like, hey, honey, there's a red light. I see it, like, do I need to respond that way? You know what I mean? So
yeah, I agree. And I tell my 14-year-old, don't post anything on social media that you wouldn't be proud for your grandma to see.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same concept, right?
It's just, and like Warren, and when Warren Buffett took over, if you remember the 90s, there was a Wall Street firm collapse.
Absolutely.
And like he came in and he has a line where like, if you make a mistake of billions of dollars, I've got your back. If you lose 1 ounce of trust for the business, you're like, you're gone. You're in trouble. So anyway, just if you from what Greg said and just kind of like, talking about like the Warren Buffett, just take it a little bit further. Like for our small manufacturers out there, there's somebody out there, I've got, 5, 10 employees. Like I'm a widget maker. And now all of a sudden I've got 5, 10, 15, 20 employees. And I need some help with leadership. I need some help with managing these folks. What's like a 101 that you help with people on some leadership skills?
On leadership skill. Well, the first thing I do, and this connects to what we were just talking about, the first thing I do with leaders, regardless of their size, is we talk about the vision, the mission, and the values, right? Because those values are so very important. And once we have those identified, once we have those solidified and have brought the team in to help define those, right? Because that's a super important part of having the vision, the mission, and the mission and the values is you have to have your team help craft those. Once you get there, the rest is just soft skills building, man. It's learning how to lead with empathy and emotional intelligence, and something you just said about do you really want to be on the front page, getting defensive about pointing out your wife pointing out a red light, right? That emotional intelligence side of leadership is so very important. We have to understand how our emotions are a good thing too, by the way. But we have to understand how those emotions that we are having and experience, how they impact the teams that we lead, because they do. Whether you're a happy person or a grumpy person, that impacts the team that you have. So it's understanding that it's holding yourself to the same level of accountability that you hold your team to. It's listening to people. And if somebody walks into your office, shut your laptop, put your phone down. Don't try and multitask. There are so many studies that say that that just can't happen. So, those are some of the one-on-one soft skills stuff that I work with companies on. I'm, working on a delegation workshop right now for a company that I'm working with here in Arizona. And the latest one that I've made, and this will be part of next year's tour, is on coaching and mentoring. And how do you coach and mentor versus train and command, I guess, is the way I'm looking at it.
Right. Absolutely. I love that. So, all right, for full disclosure, a little embarrassment moment. I had a business I vividly remember my 20s. I was like such an idiot. I was horrible. My staff when they would come in, they would ask, "How's the weather?" And the weather was how was my mood.
No,
yeah,
kidding.
like I'm embarrassed to say that on a live stream, but they would say, "Hey, how's the weather today?" And just like and the thing is, when you're running so I don't have any hair left, man. When you're running a business, man, it's stressful. It's like you're your own HR department one minute, you're a finance department. Hey, now I got to market something. Now I got to sell something. Now I just lost a customer. Like, I mean, it's all the things. But man, when if that's what you signed up for, and you need to be. I didn't have the maturity. I didn't have the ability to maintain myself in my 20s. It was just like train wreck, like,
absolutely.
Right. It just,
and very few people are, Kurt.
Right.
And that's a great thing about emotional intelligence. It's a skill you develop. You're not born with it. And that's how EQ differs from IQ, right? IQ you're born with, EQ you develop. And it takes a very aware person to say, yeah, I fucked that up back in my 20s, right? But here's where I've gotten to now. And so I love that moment of vulnerability out of you.
Yeah. It was so, all right. So we're going to start winding down.
Yeah.
Folks, let's go here. Your vision, your dream with the tour, man. Like, I don't take this lightly. And I don't know if anybody is anybody out there put together a tour? Because if you have, I'd love to know. Jim, where did the tour, the vision, we were talking off before we went live, you shared a little bit. Share with folks your vision, your dream, you're trying to change, massive change. Thus the name, leading the change. Please share your vision, your dream for this tour.
Yeah. So about 18 months ago, I realized that the work that I was doing was awesome. And I was having a lot of fun and a lot of impact, but the impact was fewer than I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be able to scale this and impact more people every time that I was working with people. So I talked to all my clients at the time and asked them, what is the power that I have? What is the value that I bring to your organization? And without hesitation, every single company, Kurt said, it's when you're in front of our teams. It's when you're talking to us. It's when you're training, you're doing lunch and learns, your trainings or your workshops. And so at the time I had created a couple hundred. Now I've got 300 trainings that I've created. I've got 15 1 and 3 day workshops that I've created. And I knew I needed to do this. I just didn't know how logistically to make it happen. And talk about those moments, those single conversations, those moments in time. I was talking with a guy from Hexagon, Phil, and he and I originally had talked about putting these workshops in all of their Hexagon locations nationwide. Logistically, it didn't work out with them, but it gave me the confidence that these companies like Akuma, like Ellison Technologies, like GBG, and Horn and Heidenhain, etc. They have these training rooms strategically located in very manufacturing heavy metropolitan areas, and they have they're looking for content to go out of there. So started reaching out to the people in my network. That was the easy part. Talking to people about, hey, can I host something in your facility? That's the easy part. The challenge has been getting butts and seats in this economy, and it's a tough moment to try and get people there. But this is something that we're over halfway sold out of Cleveland, which is fantastic. So we've got 16 registrations. That's, I want to sell this sucker out. I want to sell out every single one of these. And yeah, I want to, if I can do that, Kurt, that's 600 people that will go through this over a 7-month span of time. And that creates real change in the industry. And that's us doing this together. And taking a note off of my friend Chris Lukey's notebook. He's the one who showed me it was possible to push out a tour. I mean, we ask who's done this. He's done it. And I've leaned on him quite a bit. And he's taught me that I need a community page for this as well. So those will be coming, where we'll have community pages built out for each subject, and people can bounce ideas off of each other and really learn from each other post workshop, because we're going to have great content in each one. And every conversation, what I've learned from doing these here in Arizona is each workshop has very different questions, very different content comes up, very different problems come up from each of the participants. And so to be able to not only learn from me, learn from the content, but also learn from each other in the workshops and then ongoing is going to be a powerful thing. And I'm so excited for it.
Well, God bless you, dude. I think this is absolutely phenomenal. And the respect, admiration I have for you to pull this thing together, man, this is just nothing short of phenomenal. You are such an inspiration. And the thing is, again, I got firsthand taste of what that workshop is. And like, you light the room on fire, dude. It's fun. It's engaging. It's thought provoking. You challenge people, in how you think of things on the spot that was really impressive as well. So,
thank you.
Yeah,
I have another self-limiting belief, and it's that I perform better in person than I do in these digital formats. I'm great when it's one-on-one like this. I can ignore all these chatter and comments over here, which is why I enjoy doing the podcast stuff. But when I do workshops, digital workshops, I freeze, Kurt. And it's a self-limiting belief, but my power, as you saw, was walking through the crowd with that microphone and engaging with people. I find that really hard to do in this digital space. So that's why I'm doing it live and not on the digital. I don't believe in myself to do this on a digital format. So looking forward to it, man. So excited.
Well, dude, I'll tell you, because you dropped a line that I will never forget. You were about halfway up so again, I'm going to give you a visual, and actually it was on Jim's website, but I closed it out. So it's, I don't know how many people were in the room, like a lot, right?
A lot.
And the room was, packed, standing room. Yeah. Jim's walking down the aisle of all these seats. And halfway down, he says, "Hey, just keep asking questions. You guys are don't have me doing all the talking." Remember you said that?
My goal, Kurt, is to not make it through any of my presentations that I do. If I can get the audience going and I don't get a chance to make it through then I'm doing my job. And I said, I had somebody ask me afterwards, well, why don't you just have one slide as your presentation? Because maybe it's not going to happen that way, Gary. And it wasn't Greg or Gary. I'm just making up that name, but sometimes it doesn't work that way where you get that engagement. This group of people just so happened to be an amazing group of human beings that really were bought into the topic. And so, it was great.
It was great. And you mentioned the word empathy, being empathetic earlier. Your empathy and your compassion, because multiple times you were like, well, tell me more. Tell me more. And so, all right, I could keep you here all day, dude. I know you got a tour to plan. And so, you know what? What's funny, what goes in full circle, what did you tell us earlier, however many minutes ago? You said, hey, I was following jam bands, the Dead and the Fish. Well, guess what? Jim's now, he's got his own jam band, and he's going around the country, and he's going to be jamming at a city near you. So, I mean, there's really no excuse. Go to Jim's website, manufacturingconnector.com. and mfgconnector.com. And there's cities all over the country. No reason not to stop by and catch Jim. So Jim, catching you on LinkedIn, your website, anything else, anywhere else that they can find you?
Those are the easiest places to get me. I mean, I've given people my email address on here before, but the easiest place to get me is the website and on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, just look for the guy in a bathtub of orange ping pong balls.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, we're going to have you back, dude. And so maybe we'll catch you like in the middle of the tour. Maybe we'll even catch you when you're on the tour. You know, maybe, you know what? Maybe I'll check with the cities, so maybe I'll pop in a city and we'll do a live from the
That
city.
would be awesome. I would love to do that, Kurt.
That would be great. Okay. You know what? I got one last question for you. You ready?
Let's do it. Yep.
Okay. All right. You a baseball fan by any chance?
I am. I love baseball.
Who's your team?
Rockies.
You're a Rockies guy. Okay. So let's say I'm going to give you a hypothetical.
Okay.
Let's say the Rockies are playing. Who's like the right side of me? Let's say the Dodgers, because Dodgers win everything, So the Colorado Rockies are playing the Dodgers. It's a bottom of the ninth. They're playing a Rocky State in Coors Field. It's still Coors Field, is it not?
Yep. Right? Still Coors Field.
Right. Yep. I took my family there a few years ago. Beautiful stadium.
Yeah.
So awesome. It's Coors Field, and it's bottom of the ninth, and there's 2 outs, and there's a guy on second base, but it's tie score.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, tie score, bottom ninth. You with me, right?
Yep.
And the manager is sitting there, and he turns on the bench. He goes, "Hey, Jim, grab your helmet, grab your bat, get to the plate. Like, dude, put in the winning run. Like, I got dinner reservations. We got to get out of here, right?" So you grab your helmet, you grab your bat, you're walking up the plate, hitting the winning run for your favorite Colorado Rockies.
Yep.
As you walk up, what's your walk-up song?
Put Me in, Coach, John Fogerty.
Great answer, dude. Great answer, man. You and the dog was barking right on it. So that
absolutely, my bad on that one, but
hey, I'm a dog fanatic. You could have had your dog on the show the whole time. So, all right, dude. Thank you. Put me in, coach. That's a great answer. So, Alex P. Keaton. Yep. Dad was your teacher, kicked you out of the room on his first day.
Yep.
And just you're a gem, man. You are a gem. You have a gift of making people feel like you've been friends with them for years. Keep spreading that passion, that enthusiasm for manufacturing, man. We applaud you. We salute you. Thank you for joining me today, man.
Thank you for having me, Kurt, and thank you again for what you do, man. Like I saw you host that panel at IMS, and the entire time, like, it was a great panel, but the entire time I was like, damn, he is really good at this. Like, the way that you are able to perpetually keep your energy up, and you bring the energy up of the people that surround you, was amazing. You did a phenomenal job. So thank you. And thanks, Damon, even though he's on vacation this week. But thank you to both of you guys, what you do here. This is a lot of fun, and I'm glad to and grateful to have finally been on it.
Absolutely. And I wish you massive, massive success, dude. I hope you just crush every goal, every dream of this. And I can't wait to hear about it. We're going to have you back on. So hang out with me for 1 minute. Yep. And guys, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for the comments. Anything that you missed, go back, hit the replay button, and just catch everything that Jim's sharing. Go to connector.com. Check out the tour. And I'll tell you what, if you just follow Jim, man, you too will be an inspiration to others and make the world a better place, just like our friend Jim is. So, all right, hang out with me, Jim, for 1 second, and everybody have an awesome rest of your week.